Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, so today we will be talking about providing liquidity with Meteora. And today I've set the latency as quite low so that we're almost talking in real time. So that if you post any questions or anything in the chat, I'll get to know real time and I can all answer promptly. So we'll start off. First, we want to look into what exactly is liquidity providing. So liquidity providing is basically actively contributing to a market by placing buy and sell orders at various price points, making it easier for others to trade an asset without significantly impacting its price. Basically, when you're placing liquidity in any pool, it can be a meme coin pool, a stable coin pool, or just any two token pair. And when you're placing liquidity in that pool, you're facilitating trades of other people so that other people can buy and sell those tokens. And when they do that, they pay a small amount of fees, which is known as the LP fees. And that LP fees, along with your initial assets, add up to create a profit. So the most common and the most widely available liquidity providing pools in the market have always been the AMM, the automated market maker pools. If we talk about AMM, the liquidity in these pools, when you add liquidity in these pools, the liquidity is basically uniformly spread from a price of 0 to infinity. But practically, when we look at any token, the price does not, technically it does trade between 0 and infinity, but practically the range is far narrower compared to the 0 to infinity range. So when we are uniformly placing liquidity in an AMM pool, we are, yes, a part of our liquidity will be active always at all given points in time. But at the same time, most of the liquidity that we place in that pool will always remain inactive. And you're basically placing liquidity which is not really generating any profits. So let's suppose you deposit $10 in an AMM pool, $100 in an AMM pool. If you're lucky, maybe 20 or 30 cents are actually active at any given point. Rest, all the liquidity is inactive, doing nothing at all. Another thing that we need to understand about AMM pools is how the price actually works. When people are trading through that liquidity pool, how does the price exactly, when people make a swap, how does that swap work? So as you can see here, I've taken this graph. So basically in this graph, you can see there is a curved line, and this curve is always going down. Like at any point you place your point, and then as you go forward, the point will always come down. So basically what's happening is, in AMM pools, regardless of how much liquidity is available in those pools, when you're making a swap, let's suppose you make $100 worth swap, you can never get back exactly $100 back. Firstly, because yes, we just spoke about the liquidity providing fees, that the fees that you have to pay to the liquidity providers, that is deducted from the total transaction. But at the same time, there is also something called slippage. this slippage basically in AMM pools and even in CLMM pools, the concentrated pools that we'll just talk about, these follow a curve on how the price goes down in a swap. So now this is basically called the constant product. This graph is following the constant product formula, which is x into y is equal to k, and k is always constant. So that is how slippage actually happens when we are making a trade through any liquidity pool. And like I said, most of the most commonly available liquidity pools are the AMM pools. So anytime you're swapping, most likely you're swapping through an AMM pool. And this is how slippage usually works in an AMM and even in a CLMM pool. So now talking about CLMM pools, the concentrated liquidity market makers. In a CLMM pool, basically when you add liquidity, instead of adding liquidity from 0 to infinity, you're only adding your liquidity in a fixed range that you can select. The user, the liquidity provider, can select their own range. The range could be minus 99 to plus 100% plus maybe even 1000%. But you in a CLMM pool, you have the advantage of being able to choose your own range compared to an AMM pool where you do not have that advantage, and when you are adding liquidity, it always gets added from 0 to infinity. So when we are adding liquidity in a CLMM pool, we can actually narrow our range much narrower and match the price action of the token pair. And when we are adding all of our liquidity in an active price range, then most of our liquidity is being very active and generating fees for us. So CLMM pools provide this very major advantage over the AMM pools, that you can choose your own range, and by letting you choose your own range, you can capture a lot of the price action and thereby generate additional fees. So this is basically the difference between the standard, the legacy, you might call the legacy AMM pools, and the more modern. And although yes, CLMM pools have gained a lot of traction, but AMM pools still remain the pools which have the highest amount of liquidity available in the market. But CLMM pools are gaining traction more and more, and probably very soon we'll have that point wherein they have an equal capture in the market, and maybe the CLMM pools capture even more than that. So now the next thing that we want to talk about is impermanent loss. When we're adding liquidity in any pool, AMM pool, CLMM pool, or even the Meteora DLMM pools, there will always be a factor of impermanent loss that you have to keep in mind. The reason why this is called impermanent is because you can use strategies to counteract that loss and actually generate even higher profits. So basically, what impermanent loss is that, let's suppose you're adding $100 USDC and you're pairing it with one Solana, where Solana is priced at $100. Now when you add this liquidity, you're basically placing $200 worth of liquidity in the pool.